Hello and welcome to lesson 3 of learning SQL language, and now we're going to go over our objectives for this. Are going to be creating tables, inserting data into those tables, updating data, deleting data, and altering the tables. First we're going to start off with the create table statement. It's going to start off with create table. You're going to define your table name, then you're going to define each of your columns and your data types. Now, normally you would go over a whole design, but these lessons are just going to concentrate on basic syntax and creating in SQL language. We're not going to get into design and all that. Now I'm going to take you over to the SQL page. Okay, here we can just start with a create table statement. We'll name it my table. You put a parentheses, and we'll just put column 1, and we'll use that as int, which is an integer, and we'll just say not null. Then we'll put in your comma, and we'll have column 2, and we'll just put it as varchar. We'll say it can have up to 10 characters, and we'll just leave it blank, which means it can be null. And we'll add one more column, say column 3, and we'll do this as date, and we'll just say it can be null. Then you're going to go up to your execute and command completed. Now I can go in and just make sure it's there. We'll go into, and one thing I like about SQL servers and IntelliSense, if it's in there, it'll usually find it, and you don't have to type everything out. In my table. Now, and just hit execute at the top, and you'll see it's created column 1, 2, and 3. The next thing we'll go over is inserting data. Like select or like create, you're going to put insert into. Define your table name, what table you want to put your data into, and then in parentheses you're going to define your columns, and then you're going to go to the next line, put the word values, put a parentheses, and you're going to put in values to match each one of the columns. You must have the same amount of values as you do columns. And then remember, when you're doing character data, you will need to use single quotes. And we'll go over to the SQL side. And okay, as you see, I put in insert my table. I've got column 1, 2, and 3. Now that it's the int column, so we only have to put a number. Column 2 is varchar, so we have the name and single quotes, and then we have a date. So what I'm going to do is you can just highlight, since we have another one, hit the execute, and you've entered one row. And we'll go and look at it. Select statement. I'll just do all from my, and it comes up, table. We'll highlight it, execute, and we'll see all the data is in there. Okay, now we're going to start, our next part is updating the data. This is when you want to change data in your table. You're going to start with an update, table name, and then you're going to set, and you're going to pick the column name that you want to change the data in. You can either change every field in that column, or you can specify a specific row, like in the example I have here is where column 1 equals 1,000. We'll go over to the SQL side, and I will show you. Now what I put here is update my table, and we're going to change column 2 to say phone, where column 2 says name. Now, if 5 rows in that field said name, 5 rows in that field would get changed to phone. So we're just going to highlight it, that statement, and execute. Then we'll go back and look, and we'll see that name has been changed to phone. I'll just go over deleting data because normally in databases we don't like to delete. But if you want to delete data from your table, you're just going to start with a delete statement, specify your table name, and usually you're going to have a where clause that will tell you a specific row. If you put delete in my table, it will delete every row out of that table. The table will exist, but you will have no data in it. To completely get rid of the table, you'll use the phrase drop, and this will drop the table completely from your database and permanently remove it. Now, we do have the next thing is alter table. You can add columns, you can delete columns, you can specify characteristics about the table you would like to alter, such as a column going from int to numeric. And don't confuse this with updating your data. This will not update your data, it will only change the structure. And that goes through this lesson. The next lesson, we're going to go over basic data retrieval with our select statements.